And Mr. Attorney General, thank you for your service to this country. Thank you for being here today. Much has been said in recent months about the aggressive agendas of hostile foreign actors to undermine our nation's democratic processes. We've talked a lot about it today. The American people are rightfully concerned about these subversive efforts because it seems to taint our public policy and our elections. That's at least the agenda that some have. And it's been almost 70 years since Congress first enacted the Foreign Agents Registration Act to limit and keep track of outside influences. And as you know, that law created critical disclosure requirements for any lobbying group that works on behalf of foreign interests here in the U.S., so their advocacy and activities can be properly evaluated in light of their associations. General Sessions, the question today is, as you know, the current special counsel investigation has revealed several high-profile Washington elites on both sides of the aisle, for example, Mr. Podesta, Mr. Manafort, who violated the Foreign Agents Registration Act. Would you agree that without the special investigation, these cases would likely not have become public?
Perhaps. Let me back off of that to say I really have not followed that closely, and I do not have privy to the information, and it would be inappropriate, really, for me to express an opinion.
I accept that. The point is that a lot of these things have stayed below the radar because there's not been appropriate focus and attention on it, and the special investigation has brought that, and in the view of many of us, it's long overdue. There's historical evidence going back as far as the administration of George H.W. Bush, highlighting failed attempts to reform the law in this area. And this is despite repeated recommendations to develop a strategy integrated with the DOJ's overall national security efforts and similar calls for higher means of enforcement. But there's been no substantive action by any Congress over all that time, and there's been a sharp decline, a corresponding decline in compliance over the last 2 decades. So clearly, everybody can agree much has changed in the world since the FARA law first was enacted in 1938. Question is, would you agree to work with us, me, and this committee to correct these very serious problems so we can update our disclosure laws so that the American people can see what's going on behind the veil?
I would. I believe our professional staff who've been at this for some time have communicated with some senators who got ideas, and I probably have communicated with you, and I would be glad to continue that.
You have, and we appreciate it. Senator
We have taken some action. I think it's only 7 cases in what? Years? Decades?
Yes, in decades.
So we brought one enforcement action against RT, Russian TV, I guess it is,
right.
In effect, some part of that. And so it's a matter worth serious consideration. I thank you for giving it that.
Yes, sir. Senator Grassley and I have filed companion bills to clear up the ambiguities in the existing law and allow DOJ more oversight, so we do appreciate your attention. Another issue, on September 5th, I led a letter to your office with 17 other members from Louisiana and Texas requesting a thorough investigation of Planned Parenthood Gulf Coast actions, harvesting, transferring fetal tissue for financial gain. And I would ask, Mr. Chairman, for unanimous consent to enter a copy of that letter into the record.
Without objection, be made a part of the record.
Specifically, we requested that your office look into the congressional findings of the Select Investigative Panel on Infant Lives from last year. The panel stated that this was just one of 15 criminal and regulatory referrals made to various state and federal agencies, 4 of which were referred to the Justice Department. So the question is, do you have any updates on that today, on those issues or our request? And if not, could we get one of those soon?
I will review the letter. I do not have it at the top of my head, I'm sorry to say, but we'll look at it. And I believe the Congress, Mr. Chairman, and members here are entitled to a prompt response from the Attorney General and the Department of Justice. We've already reduced a backlog of some 400 letters by half, and we're going to, when the dust settles on our time here, I think you'll see we far were more responsive than you've had in the past. Because I was in your shoes, and I had, as Chairman Grassley reminded me, letters that I had had pending for a long time not answered. So,
fair enough, and I know you've been busy. Third issue, I'm almost out of time, but October 12th, you made remarks to the Executive Office for Immigration Review, and you stated how the immigration court system is being gained in many ways. Today, you mentioned again about the credible fear process being abused. Is it your belief that Congress should act to enhance the credible fear standard, and if we do that, what impact would it have on fraudulent and dilatory claims filed in immigration courts?
It could have a very significant impact. We have about 90% of the people who make those claims are referred for some sort of hearing. Many of those are quickly determined not to be substantial. I remember when the bill passed, and I remember an experienced senator, I'll say, Senator John Kyle of Arizona, he said, this is a huge thing. You don't know how big this is going to turn out to be. And it took a number of years, but it certainly proved to be, his prediction proved to be correct. We did not need to do that then, and we ought to go, we need to curtail it.
We filed some
I
legislation.
believe Chairman Goodlatte's proposals will fix some of that.
We're working on that. Appreciate your time, and I yield back.
Thank you.